All right, welcome back everybody. Today, what you can see is I'm on a main trail and we're expecting some severe thunderstorms. But as Sean Kelly says from Corporal's Corner, if it ain't raining, we ain't training. And I think it's the perfect time to test your gear. The main goal is to test out the equipment that I'm wearing. But I mean, it's beautiful, man. The vegetation is just coming out great for the summertime. And although it's hot, I couldn't be happier to share this with you guys. You can see that I have Mystery Ranch backpack. I love Mystery Ranch. Incredible manufacturer, amazing customer service. They're not afraid to try new things, and what they do right, they do well and repeatedly. And it's just a trusted name that I'm behind. Another one is the FHF, but the FHF chest rig. I'm wearing it a little low today than usual, trying that out. Since I do come out here solo quite often, I have the Garmin InReach Mini 2. Today's challenge, a practice to myself, I'm working out what I normally wear. So while I would normally wear long sleeve shirts, long sleeve pants when I'm out hiking or hunting, what I normally wear day to day is shorts or shirt sleeve or short shirt or short shirt sleeve, short sleeve shirt, short sleeve t-shirt. I gotta get better at talking. And the environment is just so diverse, but in a relatively familiar topographical layout, meaning you have clear delineations of where you're at based on your environment. For example, there's a creek that runs in the middle of this, and you have the ridgeline to your east. And so you can stay between those two boundaries. And so if you get off the path, you can easily find your way back. And that makes it ideal. It's a really special place to me. But today, it is pushing it out. Hey, if I carry this all the time, I should be training with it and be comfortable with it. Not just, oh, I did it once, or I've trained piecemeal with every item, but I've never really rocked every item together. And so that's today's situation, because I carry that bag with me everywhere. So I want to become more proficient with it. I want to be more comfortable with it. And I want to push the boundaries with it. What I found was, hey, as long as you meet the 5 C's, combustion, cordage, container, compass, and cutting, that you would feel, even in a not so ideal situation, that you were ideally equipped nonetheless. It allows me to try out, carry different ways with different bags and see how I like that. Though I don't generally prefer, a battle belt, sustainment belt, or a hip pack, whatever you'd want to call it, just because that weight, especially in hilly terrain, does get annoying, more so than just carrying a chest rig and a backpack, which is, generally speaking, the most ideal for me in a variety of situations. But the addition of a chest rig allows you to not have to access that backpack constantly. When you're hiking, hunting, or doing any other types of woodsman or bushcraft, what you'll find yourself doing is reaching for the same items, and you don't want those you may, depending on your preferences, but you don't want those all in all those different items, say a knife or a saw blade or your fire starting kit, constantly carried through your cargo shorts or your pants pockets alone. It's nicer package for me personally to have it in a chest rig where it's still very easily accessible, but allows me to keep my legs free, allows me to keep my arms free, and allows me to just have my backpack on me without the need to always be taking it off and reaching back for it, which isn't a big deal. It's whatever your preference is and whatever you train with, ultimately, whatever you like to have fun with. And today, while it's not necessarily windy, we may experience thunderstorms, but it's not raining and it's certainly not cold. It is hot out. It's well above in the 90s. Some pockets were in the 80s. And what we're gonna do next, find a bivouac site and hunker down and go from there. What you do want to be doing is, there's a misconception that you want to be quiet while you're in the woods, and you do want to enjoy nature, but you do want to be essentially talking to yourself like a crazy person, because it wards off generally other animals when they hear you. Of course, you don't want to be doing this if you're hunting. We have some pretty hilly area up there, and while you don't want to get too high to expose yourself to the ridge line from the wind at night, and you want to get too low, you want to find that Goldilocks zone, especially when you're on topography, hilly topography like this. But you do want to find your bivouac site and don't want to be searching for something. You can kind of check out the floor, check out your surroundings, check out the trees above. Always thinking in 3 dimensions, never on a singular plane for where you're looking at. And so I'm looking for any indicators of maybe deer bedding down to groundhog holes, any type of varmints or possums like that. So I'm not contending with other animals, if possible. I like this area. It's nice and open. On my backside, I have enough brush in front of me that I think will give me a nice windscreen. I think above me, majority of the trees, everything looks pretty fresh and new. It shouldn't fall. And the trees that I plan on tying my tarp to, at least, are sturdy, and I'm checking that. But I want to make my way up just a little higher, because I think I see a freaking sweet rock, which is a good sign for me, in my opinion, just because you have something to have your back up against. If you're also in a rush, it doesn't hurt to take a few spots, take a few steps, then look for a while and see like what path you want to take. You don't want to be too particular, especially have the sun going down in your path, and sometimes you're gonna just have to go through brush. It is what it is. But if you can plan out your route, you should always be keeping your head up as much as possible. And the reason for that is, while you want to check the ground for snakes, or in this case, loose rock or dirt that could come out from underneath you, what I don't like, actually, you want to keep your head up for predators or widow makers, which are essentially dead branches or trees that could easily fall on you. What I don't like, and the reason I'm taking so long, is because there's actually rocks all underneath my feet. There's actually a clearer area, but let me just turn it around. There's rocks all over the place, and I don't want to trust one completely and it given underneath me. So I am taking my time. This area as a whole, that looks like a sweet tree over there. Well, this area as a whole is not necessarily new to me. This particular area is, and one of the beige flags to me, not necessarily a red flag because it's not an outright cave, even though that's ideal for us, it's also ideal for other animals. And it's not always some complex methodology, some secret that they're using. Animals enjoy comfort and convenience as well, which is why they will share roads and game trails. Case in point, actually, if I can get exactly what you don't want to be standing on. For me, as long as you're not exposed by the wind, always having the high ground is nice. And that's how Obi-Wan took down Anakin. So in my chest rig, I have this electronics pouch. This is carrying the DJI equipment. I have my neck knife that I usually tuck underneath my shirt, but for today I've just been kind of letting it chill out here. I also have my Garmin, readily accessible. That's not going anywhere. I've been through thick brush through that, and that's not coming off the carabiner. And I have within here my shelter system, along with my fire kit, and a space blanket, and some other, and cordage as well. So let me turn this camera around. I'm incredibly close to the ridgeline, and it would be nice to get that beautiful view, especially for the morning time. Maybe what I should do, before the sun goes down, I think that's what I'm going to do, so we can wake up to a really nice view. Nope. And it's a little hasty, but now the rule of thumb is you want the smallest diameter. You want to think pencil lead working up to a pencil, to then the diameter of the thickness of your thumb, and so forth. You don't want to pile it on with too much wood too quickly, even if it is small diameters. Airflow is just as important, the oxygen getting to it, as the material that you're using. You do not want to smother it. You also don't want to just put it in a pile haphazardly, which is what I did here. I rushed it. I'm also being very cautious tonight. It's very windy and it's been very dry. So I'm not gonna make a big fire tonight. You want something to be under, something to be on, and something to be over you. And this stops a few considerations here. This protects against the various heat loss. So both convection and radiation and conduction. This is the quick deployable, I'll put the name in there, shelter from Coalcracker Bushcraft, from Dan Warbrack. I'm so sorry to butcher that, Dan. But this thing is awesome. I've only practiced it once before. They give you so much slack that you can easily get to longer distances, trees between each other. If you can't find two trees that are close, for just something as simple as a lean-to, you can wrap around if the tree's diameter is pretty small several times. I mean, I love how much slack they give you in the line that allows you, and they made this intentionally, to tie it how you would tie your shoes, that you don't have to do any basic level knots or even more advanced knots. And I just absolutely love that. I would trust this. My wife carries this. I hope that at the very minimum, people would have this as their shelter system for over them. And underneath me is the gum blanket, also from Coalcracker Bushcraft. I love this thing. This harkens back to at least the Civil War era, if not more. And this kind of shares along the same lines as wax canvas, along those like properties, where it's very abrasion resistant, very weather resistant. It can make a great tarp. I got the one with the hole in it, so it could be a makeshift poncho if you wanted it to be. It could make a great tarp system or a great floor tarp. You could also wrap it in yourself, like I said, like a poncho. You're doing dual function, if not multi-function, everything that you have. So with the gum blanket, for example, at least 3 different variants, if not also protecting your gear from getting wet, if not also your body. You could even do that with this system. I mean, this thing was so easy to set up. It just comes in this little package. I'll show it to you, but that's what I have for this setup, just to keep me out of the wind and the rain. This is not necessary tonight, but it provides me comfort, and it does allow like my clothes to dry off as I've been sweating. You know, if it does end up remaining windy and getting chilly tonight. So it's about 3:30 in the morning, and this is a great example of even a night that you plan on it not raining, why you should still put your tarp out above you. I essentially woken up to a downpour, and it's allowed me to stay dry this entire time. Some people might say it's $75 for, you know, this small of a frame tarp, but this is amazing material. I mean, it's nice and taut right now, the way I have it tied off and staked in, and I just feel like I can completely trust it. I was gonna wait until sunrise, which it's here, but it's so cloudy that you can't see anything still. The sun should be rising from behind me currently, but there's been thunderstorms and rain all night starting around 11. That's a pretty foggy morning, so hopefully if more light comes out, then I'll film that. I used my Grayl to collect rainwater, which is a consideration as of why also you shouldn't go internal or kind of freak out. Even when there's inclement weather, because there's still tasks that needs to be done. But I'm gonna put the phone down and start walking. This is the Helicon Swagman roll. What I like about this is it has multiple uses, like everything in your kit should have. And you can act as a sleeping bag, it can act as a fly tarp, though it's not that waterproof, and it can act as bedding, and it can act as I'm wearing it now, which is like a poncho. Packs into about down to a size of a pretty thick 8x11 notebook or so. But for all the applications, what I like about this compared to your typical like ripstop nylon or with DWR or whatever you would have ponchos, is it's just got that added warmth to it. And even in the summertime, when it was 90 degrees yesterday, in the 80s at its lowest, this had a lot of application still at nighttime and here in the early morning. The gum tarp did a great job of drying. However, it's kind of changed my opinion on the slit in the middle, is the version that I got. Now there's obviously a tarp that doesn't come with that slit, but last night with the rain and the thunderstorm, it actually pushed a lot of bugs came out of the middle, and a ton of ants were all over me with other spiders and things like that, which is to happen. But I do wonder if they would have come up into the tarp without that slit there. And another thing was it got kind of wet from the ground weirdly, even though when I removed it, the ground underneath was completely dry. It just felt like water was seeping out of it. I can't explain it. The Cold Cracker Bushcraft emergency rapid deploying tarp, which I swear to God I'm going to remember the name after this, was amazing. I can't speak highly enough about that. If there was a piece of electronic equipment that I would carry, it would be a headlamp. I've used it countless times. It's the one thing that you end up always breaking out at nighttime, and it just comes in clutch. I'd recommend one with rechargeable batteries, or the ones with the long-lasting lithium batteries aren't bad either, and if you bring some spares, but that's just more weight to bring. But I guess it kind of or it all evens out, because when you bring the rechargeable batteries, you end up bringing some type of charger with it. Your pick. Right now I just have the regular batteries in this, but I found that I didn't need the processed wood last night, so I didn't use my knife, my belt knife, and I didn't use my saw blade, my folding saw, which I use the Silky Gomboy. I love that thing. Japanese stainless steel. Only cuts in the reverse direction, not both ways, like other saws. This backpack's been nice and light. It's been working great. It's been able to hold my Grayl. I will get more shots at better angles to go over everything, because you haven't seen it in this video and I haven't talked about it yet. But the hip back, I'm not happy with. I really want to make the hip pack work or butt pack, whatever you want to call it, but it's just not working. It's the moment you add weight in, it kind of adds another touch point for heat, which I think that's a minor one. You could suck that up really. It's nice and, you know, on your lower back and compact. That's not the issue size wise, but for when it starts dragging, it almost starts kind of taking your pants with them. Which of course, if you got a proper belt, it's not going to really go anywhere. But it's really just then like hanging and more of a nuisance than anything, and kind of defeats the purpose. So I may take it out. I may have it rearrange it with other kit. We'll figure it out. But the quality is just amazing. But the functionality for me at this moment, at least how I was set up last night, wasn't working. So this is exactly why you should test your gear. It was something that I didn't run often, and it was one of the few, like this newer backpack that I was testing. And the backpack passed flying colors, too easy. It's really hard to mess that up for a backpack. For such a small package, and that can pack away, it carries a lot, and it's awesome. I believe it's 22 liters. And aesthetically, I love the color too. But there's all these considerations. But it's some factor. I think one, just your enjoyment out of everything. But also, you know, sometimes blending in with your environment like that. Maybe you shouldn't have too eccentric of a color. It can be a double-edged sword, because if you need to be found and you have nothing but, say, Ranger green, OD green, multicam or whatever, you know, you're not really helping your case there. So it's getting to the point where I don't need this poncho, because the rain has stopped and it's starting to warm up, and you don't want to get overheated. I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but I put my Grayl out to collect some rainwater. And another thing of consideration, hey, a couple bugs got in there, and you just got to be careful fishing them out. You don't need to waste your water like that. And it took for it raining for several hours, it really didn't fill up that much. But it's just a consideration of, hey, you can't necessarily expect rainwater to just like instantly fill you up. You're still probably gonna have to find a body of water. All right, this is how the Grayl works. Basically, it's pretty simple. You fill up the shell, and there's a clear indicating line of when to max out. And then the easiest way is to put it down, pop the mouth open to get airflow, and you just essentially press down on it. I wonder if you can see me back up. And it's easier if you just, you know, use your whole body weight into it with your shoulders rather than pressing your hands. And you're essentially just French pressing, and it's going to kill bacteria, viruses, protozoa, more so than the life straw, which only kills bacteria to my understanding. And that's it, you can just straight up drink it.